live from the virtual Twin Ring Motegi in Motegi, Japan. Welcome, sim racing fans, to round 6 of the Wave Italy Apex Racing League Prototype Championship live on Apex Racing TV. Happy that you all are along for the ride here with us on this beautiful Friday evening. I am your host, Joshua Lee. Alongside with me in the commentary box is Dane Baird, with Marco Barbonera behind the scenes in the virtual production trailer. And Dane, round 6 of the championship, we're in the last half of this series. Only 3 races after tonight in Motegi will be left, and we have a tight battle for the lead in pretty much all 3 of our classes championships.
Yeah, absolutely. And look at that 1 point separating Jan Korbs and Alex Salmon in first and second in LMP1, and then LMP2, similar story, only 3 points this time separating first and second in LMP2 Pro, and only further 11 points back to Wes van Dijk in third. Then in LMP2 AM, again only 1 point separating them, so the drivers are pretty close at the front, I think it's fair to say. And then you've got Cabral a couple points behind, and then a couple of points separating pretty much every single driver throughout the LMP2 AM field. That's one of the most closely contested fields in this series, and it has been since the very start of the series. And yep, here in Japan for the first time in the series, the only time that we visit anywhere other than Europe or the United States. We've got 3 US circuits coming up after this one in Road America, Watkins Glen and Daytona. But yeah, after the European first 5 rounds of the season, finally here outside of Europe in Japan. And an interesting circuit, doesn't get used too often in leagues like this, so it will be interesting to see. It's quite wide, as you can see from this camera angle, and yeah, it should be an interesting race.
And we're back here at night. Obviously, last week we were in the night at Spa-Francorchamps. We're going to be in the night at Daytona for the season finale, but we're here at Twin Ring Motegi. We're back in the evening time, and the sun completely down, headlights on, track lights on. This track also usually known as a bit of an ice skating rink. It's hard to get the power down, hard to get those tires to get heat in them, get grip on the racetrack. But with it being night, these guys might have a little bit more of an easier time getting the grip. What do you think, and what do you think are going to be the main challenges for each of these drivers with this new track?
Yeah, it's definitely pretty slippery out there, but like you said, nighttime temperatures are basically plummeted compared to what they would be if it was, say, an afternoon race. So that helps the drivers out. The tires are gonna overheat less. They're always overheating the tires in these machines, but they'll be overheating less. You can see on the right hand side of the screen, 18 degrees Celsius is the air temp and 19 degrees Celsius is the track temp. That's basically as low as iRacing's engine allows it to go. So yeah, perfect conditions here at Motegi as we watched something getting a little bit loose around the first couple of corners. And something interesting to note about this is the final couple of corners. It's sort of like a chicane. It's really tricky to get right. We're seeing perfect shot, perfect timing on board through the like sort of double left, and then braking, trying to get it on the right, and then that tightens up a lot more than you'd expect in that final corner. Very easy to snag the grass on the exit. Korbs has done a brilliant job through there, actually looked pretty clean, and yeah, he moves up into second, only 3/10 behind teammate Spets. And yeah, that's one of the most interesting parts of the circuit. I think that's personally one of my favorite sections of track to drive of any circuit. It's so much fun to get right, but it is very tricky, and you can expect to see a couple of drivers having incidents through there, especially if they try and go side by side, which happens more than you'd expect.
4.8 kilometers, roughly about 3 miles the length here at Twin Ring Motegi. 14 turns, opened in 1997, and the lap record, I don't believe prototypes have ever been to this course, because the lap record is a 1:34.869 from Kamui Kobayashi in the Dallara SF19 for the Super Formula Series, and we're running 1:27s here in the LMP1 class. Alexander Spets currently fastest, 1:27.12, with Jan Korbs, the current points leader for LMP1, close behind, 1:27.51, but currently not in the league of Alexander Spets by roughly about 3.5 tenths. Alexander Spets trying to catch up after 2 wins in a row, 3 in total. and he had a 7th place finish at round 1 and a 5th place finish at round 2. That set him way further down in the points than he was hoping for. Now with 151, still about 60 some odd points back to Alex Salmon. He has a good ways to catch up if he's going to want to be a threat for the championship. He's currently qualified on the pole as well, so already a good start, because in 4, he has been on the pole 4 times, and out of those 4 times, he has won 3 of those races.
He's got a pretty good pole to win conversion rate. He has in Spets, and he's got a pretty decent teammate to back him up in Corbs. Basically, the battle between the 2 teams of ARL eSports and then OCM in 3rd and 4th, Salmon and Blackwood. We saw how that might be a little bit interesting between those two teams. Blackwood, of course, joining a couple rounds into the season and performing pretty well. Marco Barbanera has just told us in the background 136.316 is the lap record from Super GT. So yeah, it's an interesting lap time, considering we're 9 seconds quicker at the moment in the LMP1 machines. We've got number 324 Braun, who's currently on pole position for LMP2. He sets a lap time that is 600 slower than his last one. He won't improve, and he is still around about 500 behind Timo Hayden in pole position overall in that car class. Let's see what Jan Korbs can do. Salmon's just gone faster than him. Let's see what Korbs can do around the final corner. Across the line he goes. What's he going to set? Oh, it's a slow lap, 127.5. That's a good 4/10 off the lead. So it's going to be not good enough for him. He's going to have to work his way from 3rd and start behind his teammate and his championship rival of Salmon.
Salmon got close, just not enough, about 7/100ths back from the leader, Alexander Spets. Now taking a look at Jean-Francois Elagorche for Devotion Sim Racing, currently 6th, or now 7th at LMP2 AM, as Kieran Smart gonna move up the order into 3rd place, 138.089. Taking a look at the points for LMP2 AM, it is Kieran Smart out in front by 1 point over Tim Perry, and those two have been trading wins. Kieran Smart, 2 wins on the season. His worst finish of the season is 3rd, and that was twice at round 2 and 5. He's been the most consistent out of anybody this season, but getting it done in the last 2 races was Julius Braun. Now, Julius Braun joined in the series at round 4 in Silverstone. He got the win in round 4. His second appearance at Spa-Francorchamps, he got the win in Spa. Now is looking to go 3 in a row in LMP2 AM. Time to take a look at your starting grid here for round number 6 of the Wave Italy Apex Racing League Prototype Championship. Your LMP1 starting field highlighted there in red. Alexander Spets, Alex Salmon on the front row, Jan Korbs, Sam Blackwood, and Andrew Thompson rounding out the field of your LMP1 drivers. Taking a look specifically first to LMP2 Pro. 4 drivers will take the grid in LMP2 Pro today, highlighted in blue. Timo Hayden, Wes Van Dyke, Arijas Jomantas, and Julien Boutet rounds out your 4 drivers for LMP2 Pro. 10 drivers taking the grid in LMP2 AM, and the starting grid there is Julius Braun on the pole, Tim Perry in 2nd, Kieran Smart 3rd, Jason Marichal in 4th. Cesar Cabral will round out your top 5, and rounding out your field, Juice Baumeister, Jean-Francois Elagorche, Roy Moss, Hans Blanquart, and Nathan Healy, rounding out the 10 cars that will take the grid in LMP2 AM. 5, 4, and 10 in each of our classes makes 19 overall. Ready to take the green flag here at Twin Ring Motegi. So, Dane, we've seen 2 wins in a row now for Alexander Spets trying to catch up to the lead. We've seen 2 wins in a row for Julius Braun, but we have seen a different winner. 5 different winners in the last 5 races for LMP2 Pro. Do you think Timo Hayden can get it done today, or do you think Wes Van Dyke can get it done today? Because if either of them do, that'll be 2 wins for either of those drivers.
It's certainly going to be interesting. I think Spencer's starting off with a brilliant starting position, yeah, he should. With the start, he'll get starting on pole position in LMP1. You're pretty much guaranteed to have quite a nice lead heading into turn 1. So it's going to be interesting at the start. They do have a lot of track to work with at the start. So I'm hoping that with the relatively small field that we have here today, we should be able to get through in one piece in all of the classes, quite wide into turns 1 and 2. So yeah, hopefully we can get through in one piece. But then after that, it's going to be interesting. This track allows racing pretty well because it is mostly pretty wide up until this final section now. As you see, the pace truck is going to pull over to the right hand side, and the field is now under control of Alex Spetz as he rounds the final corner. He will get going in just a few moments time.
Here we go for round 6 of the Wave Italy Apex Racing League Prototype Championship. Who will get it done in LMP1 today? They're off and away here at Twin Ring Motegi. They dive into turn number 1, already making a move. It's Jan Korbs looking for the lead, looking up and right off the go he goes. Alex Salmon for OCM Racing right off the track in T1. That is not what he looked for as the LMP2 field gets going. Timo Heiden leads him into 1. Wes Van Dyke side by side with Julius Brown behind. Kieran Smart ahead of Tim Perry now working their way through turn 2 as everybody works now off of the corner. Alex Salmon all the way down at the bottom of the leaderboard as he locked it up going into turn 1. That is such an unfortunate start for Alex Salmon. Here's the replay, and he just completely locked up the tires, missed the entire corner.
It looks like it might have been being caught out by Korbs driving, Korbs or one of the ARL cars swerving in front of him, and that took away a little bit of his downforce. He started going a bit faster than he would have wanted heading into the corner, and then obviously you push the brake a little bit harder, try and slow down a bit faster, and yeah, he just snagged the brake and sent him off. He did pretty well to keep it out of the wall though, because quite often in the iRacing grass and gravel physics, you'll just be sent forward with no way of slowing down your meter barrier. So he did a pretty good job of keeping it out of the wall, but it's definitely not the start he would have been hoping for. Korbs and Spetz obviously coordinated that start really well on voice chat or something like that, because Korbs got a really good jump on Salmon at the start there.
Top 2 currently RLR and Brucey eSports silver drivers as Spetz tries to go 3 in a row in the win column. Now taking a look, Jason Marichal battling for P4 in the LMP2 AM category, 12th overall, with Cesar Cabral up ahead. He has Juice Baumeister behind, looking for the 5th spot. And shuffling further back, that is Juice Baumeister. Right behind him is Julian Boutet, who is a bit down the order for LMP2 Pro. So go on board with him, is getting loose, coming off of the corner goes Juice Baumeister, now gonna almost fall to the 218. Andrew Thompson for Performance League Esports is off. And he looked to be off coming out of turn 5.
Yeah, I'm not too sure what happened to him here. I'm going to guess he's either locked up or hit the grass on the outside of the corner, and judging by his line, no, he's just misjudged the braking zone, and oh yeah, he doesn't look like he locked up, but he did just misjudge it a little bit, and yeah, found the little bit of grass. Salmon got by, and he goes back down into 5th, but yeah, he lost quite a bit of time from that. Luckily he had a long way to go behind from the LMP2, so he didn't have to worry about that. Salmon got very close at the start of the race to getting involved with some LMP2 traffic as he rejoined the circuit. He was about 2-3 seconds in time, otherwise yeah, that could have been a little bit interesting, as you see an LMP1 just rejoining in front of the field of LMP2 cars. But Spence now setting the fastest lap of the race, and Korbs just behind him by around about a second. Blackwood not quite able to keep up. He's 3.6 seconds behind in LMP1. Then of course Salmon and Thompson making their mistakes. Yeah, moving about 10 seconds behind Blackwood. So they've got a lot of work to do to try and catch up. In LMP2, Van Dyke has got ahead of Braun, of course. Both of which have just set their fastest laps of each of their classes. And oh, Thompson has a lot of damage it seems, to the rear of the car.
Could that be related to the spin, or maybe a new spin? that we didn't catch for Andrew Thompson. We'll see, because he's making his way right now out of turn number 6 onto the part of the road course that is outside of the oval here at Motegi, and still a long way to go for him to make it around to the pit lane. We'll see if he comes in. One car off track and stopped. There he is, Nathan Healy for SCCR Sim Sports in the 387. Now 10th, right down the order in LMP2M. And we'll grab a look at the replay. Goes into the corner. Seems like possibly the same issue that we've seen through practice, through qualifying a little bit as well. Just trying to get the power down. Dane, this track can be a little bit difficult to do that. And if you try and do it too quickly like you did there, you're going to be spinning around and looking the wrong way very quickly.
Yeah, the famous Japanese tarmac. It doesn't allow you to get away with much. And yeah, he's just found that out the hard way. Loses quite a lot of time trying to get the car turned back around on the grass. Is never easy. And yeah, he's dropped back around 16 seconds from the next driver on circuit. Maricard now in 5th. He's got Brute and Cabral just in front of him. Obviously in different classes in terms of Pro and Am, but still in LMP2, so they are going to have a little bit of a battle here. Timo Hayden setting the new fastest lap of the race at 1:37.8. He's just gained about a second on Van Dijk on that lap. Really impressive stuff from Timo. And it's pretty close at the front of the P2 Am field as well. Braun 1 second behind us. Smart. Oh, and Healy's off the circuit again. Really not enjoying this combination of car and track, I don't think.
On board now, Cesar Cabrals. We jump up to 12th overall. Battle for the 4th spot. Actually, right behind this, Julian Boutte for LMP2 Pro. So, Boutte for Devotion Sim Racing trying to get around the charity racing team driver, Cesar Cabral, for 12th overall and roughly about 7th in class. Because the way the points will work is that the LMP1 is its own class, and then LMP2 as a whole is its own class. Just they split up the championships for LMP2 Pro and Am. But everybody in LMP2 will be fighting for the same real estate in terms of points for positions on the racetrack. So looking for that roughly about 7th spot in his class is Julian Boutte on Cesar Cabral. So here's the difference between Sam Blackwood and Alex Salmon. Now we saw Alex Salmon go off the track, of course, in turn 1. But still looking good out there on the track is Alex Salmon. 1:28.42 his last time by 7.5 tenths, roughly faster than Sam Blackwood. You can see in the last 3 laps, basically, other than the lap he went off track, he has been lapping faster than Sam Blackwood for OCM Racing. And you can see faster in the sector times as well is Alex Salmon. So putting down some great laps is the number 128 is off track goes Cesar Cabral for LMP2 Pro.
And where is this actually? I think clearly into turns 1 and 2. He's not hit the grass on the entry. No, he's done the same thing that Salmon did at the start of the race, just locked up, maybe outbraked himself a little bit, and yeah, took that really long, excruciatingly slow trip around the outside and the gravel. So difficult to turn the car when it's in the gravel. There's absolutely no grip as all of the cones go flying, those 4 cones. Alexander Spets taking them all out through turns 3 and 4 there. And yeah, he's got a healthy lead, 3.3 seconds last time by. So yeah, really doing well out there as we near the 10-minute mark of the race, but still a lot of racing to go. And we've seen all too many times so far this season that yeah, it can go bad pretty quickly out there.
Julius Brown, what a start to his season. And he has a good bit behind in the points, obviously, because he did miss the first 3 races, but 2 wins. Sat on the pole last week, sat on the pole this week, and he's looking to go 3 in a row for LMP2 Pro. And he sits at 80 points currently, P13 in the LMP2 Pro points, about 100 points back from first place Kieran Smart. Running out of time, obviously, but assuming he gets another win, I think he might need Kieran Smart or Tim Perry to fall down the order a little bit more than 2nd and 3rd. where they are now about 4th and 5th in class, in the LMP2 class. Julius Brown might have a run at the championship, Dane, but he's gonna need a miracle for it to happen. And miracles can happen, but it could be a while before we really see Julius Brown being anywhere close to that points lead. As here's their other two championship favorites, Kieran Smart, Tim Perry, 1 and 2 in the championship. Smart 1 point above Perry, trying to keep his second place spot in LMP2 Pro. On board with Tim Perry now as he goes in through and down into the hairpin, trying to catch Kieran Smart for P2 and LMP2 Pro.
Yep, and these two going side by side through the middle sector there. It's actually allowed Braun to extend his advantage just a bit out in front. He's doing an absolutely fantastic job there in his first few rounds. There are drop rounds. I'm just double checking how many there are. I think there's 1 or 2, but it is going to be interesting because if he can continue this winning streak that he's been on recently, he could pretty easily find himself right up there at the end of the season. So it definitely will be interesting.
About 10 minutes down now here in the Wave Italy Apex Racing League Prototype Championship from the virtual twin ring Motegi. And last time by Sam Blackwood, lapping faster than Alex Salmon for the first time since lap number 1, but only about 1/10. There you can see Alex Salmon making his way onto the main straightaway as Blackwood goes through turns 1 and 2. Make his way through 3 and 4, then turn 5, and then exit the oval portion. Now, twin ring Motegi, you can't really see it on our track map on the right side of your screen, excuse me. But you can see where everybody is running on the racetrack according to what position they're currently running in. But the first 5 turns of this track and pretty much the last 4 turns are within the oval here at Twin Ring Motegi. And if you're familiar with the IndyCar series, raced here, Danica Patrick getting her first and only IndyCar win here at Twin Ring Motegi on the oval. So everything pretty much centered around the oval here at Motegi. First 5 turns of the road course and the final 4 turns all within that oval. Pretty much the entire middle sector of the racetrack is outside of the oval, and the group that we're focusing on right now is the front of LMP1, Sam Blackwood to be specific, going by a group of LMP2 cars. He's making his way back into the oval now. There he goes underneath the bridge and right back into the oval sector for the final 2 corners on the track and back onto the main straightaway.
And managing the traffic pretty well, I would say. Had a little bit of a couple hairy moments, including this one. He's got Baumeister in front of him, I believe. Yeah, traffic, especially at night, can be a little bit hair-raising because quite often, depending on what graphic settings, which is a bit weird, depending on what graphic settings the driver in front of you is running, they might not be able to see you very well at all in their mirrors. So it is a bit nerve-wracking when you're trying to overtake cars at night. You do light up the circuit in front of them, but some drivers may not even notice that, as we've got a move being made here. We take up the inside of Arias Yamantis, gets the flash, and oh, Sam Blackwood's come up across this at exactly the wrong time, just about squeezed it through. Buteo was giving him absolutely no room whatsoever on the exit of that corner, fully swiped across, but he manages to make the move. And he's got Yamantis right behind him still. I wonder if Arias is going to be able to make a move, maybe down at the end of this straight into the right-hander, just over 90 degrees, but feels really tight. The track drops away a little bit as well. So we'll see in the draft, can he make a move into the braking zone? No, he cannot, and he will have to wait until possibly the main straight to make another move. Heading through this really tricky part of the circuit. Very different lines being taken by the drivers, and Yamantis has taken a slower line, it looks like.
On board Joe Montes down the main straight. There you can see the OCM Racing driver of Alex Salmon going by this entire group of LMP2 cars. Still about 7 seconds back. First, about 5 seconds back from Sam Blackwood up in front of him for P3 in LMP1. the co-destruction as it goes through turns 3 and 4. More LMP2 traffic up in front. The only driver who's escaped LMP2 traffic right now in the LMP1 category is your first place driver of Alexander Spetz. And now getting by Timo Hayden is the number 158 of Jan Korbs. So he has escaped the LMP2 traffic. In the third place and fourth place cars of Sam Blackwood and Alex Salmon, UCM Racing teammates, currently still stuck in the traffic before they get into the clean and open air here at Motegi. Nearing in at about 15 minutes down. About 15 minutes to go till we see the first scheduled rounds of pit stops here at the virtual twin ring Motegi. And Dan, the pit stops always seems shaking things up, and we've seen the last 2 weeks some pretty good undercuts being taken by a lot of teams here in the series. Do you think we could see more today, or do you think you're maybe going to try and pit in the cycle with everybody else, especially since looking down the order, everybody's fairly spread out, but only about a second separating most of the field from each other?
In NFP1, definitely not. There's no ways of trying to make an undercut as in terms of overtaking actually work. It is a little bit, yeah, they're a bit too spread out for that. But in NFP2, possibly you might see a couple of drivers. Smart and Perry are only separated by a second. Bate and Diamantis separated by just over a second now. You've also got 5th, 6th in NMP2 and Bamist and Helleguak. They're also pretty close together. You could see them trying to make some strategy moves in terms of the pit cycles, but yeah, I think in most of the field it's not going to be possible. There are a couple drivers that might start thinking about how they can gain or lose time in traffic, especially as they near the half-an-hour mark. The drivers might start getting up to maybe lapped cars, or see where the LMP1 drivers are and see if I pit now, am I going to end up losing time? That's what the main thing that they'll be looking at, is trying to figure out where they'll come out after a pit stop, and is that going to be more or less advantageous than waiting a lap or pitting a lap earlier.
Taking a look at Juiced Baumeister on the track, 5th place in LMP2 Pro in that number 348. Through the hairpin onto the back straightaway. Small battle going on a little bit further up between Garen Smart and Julius Brown. Is off track. Once again goes the 387 of Nathan Healy. The driver from Ireland not having the best of days here at virtual twin ring Motegi. Wes Van Dyke has caught his way. Sorry, Julius Brown has caught his way up to Wes Van Dyke. Brown looking for more points in the LMP2 class. Last time by 2/10 faster than Wes Van Dyke. And Van Dyke gonna go way off track in the 284. Let Julius Brown go right on by in the 324. And up into second place in class in LMP2 is Julius Brown. Now the two LMP2 leaders for Pro and Am, Timo Heinen and Julius Brown, 1-2 in the class, and then you can see right off track goes Wes Van Dyke.
He lost the car pretty hard there. It's actually really impressive he managed to hold on to it, in all honesty. Yeah, he did a really good job with that one, actually, yeah. He could have so easily, that car could have ended up in the outside wall, because very easy to overcorrect the cars, but yeah, he did a fantastic job there, and unfortunately had to let Braun by. But Timo Heiden, that's exactly what you want to be seeing in your relative. Braun getting ahead of Van Dyke, because now you've got one car between yourself and your nearest rival, who's probably going to hold him up. Not that Braun's slow, but I think Van Dyke's probably quicker. Either way, it's going to help Heiden out a lot, so he'll be happy to see that, and that should make him a little bit more comfortable when they're heading into the pit stops, that he's not going to lose too much time if they do end up pitting and getting into traffic, which depending on how long the pit stops are going to take here, it could end up coming out right in the back of this sort of battle, this battle between Blancot, Mas and Cabral. That's not really where you want to be coming out, but in a few minutes time that might be where Timo Heiden actually ends up. So it's going to be interesting, but I think Braun getting ahead of Van Dyke is really good news for Timo.
Taking a look, Hans Blancourt in a battle between Roy Moss in the 358, Cesar Cabral behind in P9 for P2AM, battling for 7th place in the P2AM class. "19 minutes down here in the Wave Italy Apex Racing League Prototype Championship. Gives us a good opportunity to thank a couple of the sponsors that help put on the league here on Apex Racing TV. Of course, starting with Virtual Racing School. Virtual Racing School offers to improve your on-track performance with 50+ data packs for both road and oval racing, along with setups, track guides, data analysis software, and one-on-one coaching. For more information and pricing options, head over to virtualracingschool.com. Also, check out Apex Racing Academy. They have over 29 data packs to improve your performance in the sim, complete with setups, track guides, weekly group coaching sessions, and more. And Apex Racing League is all integrated with the Virtual Racing School. For pricing options and more information on Apex Racing Academy, visit apexracingac.com. SDK Gaming provides all the overlays that you are seeing here on the broadcast, and they allow you to stream to Twitch with the most complete overlay on iRacing. Add a virtual live HUD, timing towers, enhanced relative boxes, mini-maps, fuel calculators, and more. Adjust your team's strategy on the fly with our most accurate live timing in iRacing. SDK Gaming also works as a broadcast overlay for your leagues and series, complete with synced cameras for production and commentary. For pricing options and more information, visit www.sdk-gaming.co.uk. And of course, the title sponsor for this series is Wave Italy. Wave Italy's mission is to offer the best experience in driving simulation to an even broader audience, with the aim of conveying the thrill of a real race to passionate and professionals of eSport and sim racing. We offer extremely performing and realistic devices, also suitable for corporate or private events. An unforgettable, immersive driving experience. Wave Italy are providing the overall winner of LMP1 the choice of their high-end Wave Impetus Imola or Wave Impetus Monza sim pedals in a color of their choice. Overall winner of LMP2 gets half a day of professional coaching at the Wave Italy Professional Training Center in Verona. To get 5% off any product at waveitaly.com, use the code APEXRACING5 at checkout. Also, make sure to check out all of our social medias here at Apex Racing TV. You can find us anywhere on at Apex Racing TV, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and more. And go give a follow over on our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Apex Racing TV. Every stream that you can find on Apex Racing TV, you can also find over on Twitch with lower latency and a little bit higher quality as well. So if you use our live timing software to watch our broadcast with, you have a little bit of a better time over on Twitch, as the data will be a little bit more synced up. So right over there, twitch.tv/Apex Racing TV. Back to the action as 22 minutes are down here at the virtual twin ring Motegi. And further up the field, Alex Salmon has made a move on Sam Blackwood for LMP1 position 3. The OCM Racing driver back up into 3rd, still trying to chase down Jan Korbs and Alexander Spetz up ahead, but last time by, Alex Salmon faster by about 3/10. He is closing that gap.
Yeah, you could just see it as we cut to Alex Salmon on board. You could just see Blackwood pull over to the right-hand side as he got within around 1.5 to 2 seconds. Blackwood just let him right past. Good teammate. I think that's the best way to put it. Just letting him past, and yeah, Salmon has been flying over the last couple of laps. They said identical lap times a couple of laps ago. Somehow, it always baffles me how someone can do that. The timing is so minute in terms of thousandths of a second that they've actually managed to match each other on the same lap. But yeah, both of them dropping back from Spets, but Salmon slowly starting to claw back the gap to Korbs. He won't be able to catch up 11 seconds over the course of the 35 minutes left in the race at that rate, but he'll be able to get a little bit closer and maybe try and pressure Korbs into making some kind of mistake. It's a bit of an odd place to be in for Salmon. He's got his teammate behind him who's just let him pass, so he's basically guaranteed that position, but not really close enough to try and make any sort of attempt at getting second or the win. So it's a bit of a weird position for Salmon to be in. He's basically just hot lapping at this point, 17 laps into the race, as he's also just pulled into the pits around a lap ago, and he is either taking a pit stop or potentially just retiring from the race. So hopefully it is the former and not the latter, as someone just hit the grass there, the 358 of Roy Mass, who is still involved in this battle with Blanco and Cabral there.
This is 4P7 in LMP2M. As they work their way through the back straightaway S's on the course. Cars get light, and to make sure they're careful getting the power down. And Jan Korbs, you can see him making his way through there, getting stuck behind Roy Moss there for a moment. And he gets that LMP1 power, but now side by side, a little bit of door banging, a little bit of RG-bargy now in between Roy Moss and Cesar Cabral side by side, heading down into the hairpin. Grabbing that spot is Roy Moss. He keeps it from Cesar Cabral, but that was almost an incident there as they bounced off each other, not once, not twice, but about 3 times heading into the braking zone.
Yeah, that was pretty tense stuff. We saw that in one of the other series where drivers banging doors down the straight and then ending up taking each other out. I think that was one of the F3 races at Silverstone. So yeah, that was definitely not what you want to be seeing, door banging down a bit of straight. I think both drivers just trying to squeeze each other and ending up meeting in the middle down the straight, but luckily they ended up all okay, and yeah, they can carry on racing each other. Mass just about hanging on to it there, but yeah, they've lost Blanquart now is the problem, going side by side, banging doors and all that. They've lost the driver that they were fighting with in front, so they're going to have to work a little bit to try and catch up before the pit stops in a few minutes.
And you can see them trying to catch up there, and right on around goes the LMP1, I believe, of Alex Salmon. Yes, it was Alex Salmon going right on by, as he is in the middle of traffic from LMP2, specifically LMP2M. As you take a look at our track map over on the right side of your screen, courtesy of our producer Marco Barbonera. Majority of the field heading through the hairpin and down the straightaway. A couple stragglers further up the field and a couple stragglers further behind, but majority of the field now working their way down that back straightaway. Right on by goes the 4th place driver in LMP1 of Sam Blackwood. Timo Heinen setting the fastest lap of the race for LMP2 Pro at a 1:37.44 last time by. So great lap from him as he continues to work his way in the front of LMP2M. Sorry, LMP2 Pro. Your leader of LMP1 is Alexander Spetz. P2 Pro, Timo Heinen, and P2M, Julius Brown. As we near 27 minutes down, undoubtedly, Dan, we're in that pit window now. We can expect to see some scheduled pit stops happening relatively shortly. And usually we see the pit stops around this point, and usually we see the guys in the middle of the field pit first and the guys in the front pit immediately after. It just seems like the pit stops are kind of controlled by those midfielders, and then the leaders and back stragglers kind of just react to whatever's happening in the pit road as the laps tick down.
Yeah, it's usually the drivers involved in some kind of battle that end up taking the first move, trying to maybe take an undercut or an overcut. So looking at the battle that we're looking at right now, with riding on board with Boutet looking ahead at Maricard, the 2 Frenchmen, they're going to be having a bit of a scrap, and you can imagine that they're not going to want to be pitting at the same time, maybe try and get the undercut. One of them will have to wait and see what happens there. Is another OCM Racing Audi R18 moves along the inside, and Boutet down the inside of Maricard. Maricard looks like he maybe even just let him by down the straight. That looked extremely easy, and being teammates, you would imagine that that's exactly what they've done. And one of them dives into the pits. No, looked like it just took a pretty wide line there. The pit entry is a little bit weird here at Motegi. It's through one of the fastest parts of the circuit, that final section. Pretty quick they go through there, that double left-hander, and then suddenly, bang, straighten out the wheel and head into a pretty tricky braking zone with quite a bit of dust on it because it's not used very often, unlike the racing surface. So yeah, we'll start to see drivers heading down pretty quickly, nearing halfway in the race. We see basically normally we see 3 pit windows or pit cycles where drivers make their way through. The early pitters normally at about 25 minutes, which we haven't seen in this race. Healy is the only person who's actually pitted, I believe. Then we see the drivers pitting dead on halfway through the race, and then we see the people who run the tank dry and pit as late as possible, even as late as 40 minutes sometimes. So we'll have to wait and see when we see the first pit stops, but yeah, pit window starting to near. And it should be pretty interesting once that starts to happen, and Alexander Spet's taking a little bit of a risk there with some traffic. I definitely wouldn't be that brave trying to guess where Healy was going to be coming out of that final chicane. Could have ended pretty badly, but of course being out in front 14 seconds, didn't have to take a risk, but did, and probably gained a little bit of time anyway.
And Spet still pulling away up at the front. His last time by, just a handful of hundredths of a second faster than Jan Korbs, and Healy off track once again. Bad day for the 387. Of course, turning worse now after his pit stop. On board Timo Heinen for Impulse Racing. Great day for him as he leads the way in LMP2 Pro. The LMP2 AM driver, Julius Brown, actually slowly catching up a little bit as Roy Moss goes off spinning in the final corner coming onto the main straight. And he touched the grass. Sorry, not the main straight. No, this was the main straight. See exactly what happened here through the final chicane. He got a little bit too hot going into the first corner, lost the back end and couldn't catch it through the second one. Went right around and then into the grass to get back straight on the racetrack.
I think we're going to see this in the driver just behind. I think Cesar Corral got a little bit close here. As you can see, it's spinning in front, and he did a pretty good job to avoid the stricken car of Roy just in front of him. Something interesting to note that I've just noticed, and I like to bring up every now and then, is that at night, if you look really closely, you can see the driver through the visor, because they have the clear visor at night, of course. There's no need for a tinted one, it's night. And possibly one of the creepiest sights in all of iRacing is looking through someone's helmet into their eyes. Yeah, iRacing driver characters are pretty creepy to look at, and especially in the mirrors. If someone gets close enough to you and you have your graphics high enough, you can see their eyes in your mirrors, and it is very off-putting.
How intimidating is that when you're looking in your mirror, you can see right into the eyes of the driver behind you?
I was doing this
gotta be intimidating.
When I first noticed this at Montreal and heading down the back straight in towards the final chicane, that was pretty scary. It was just sunset, and just as iRacing decides, yes, it's now nighttime, even though you can still see, it was around about that point near the end of the race, and yeah, I messed up braking into the chicane and he got past me because of that.
Well, that's one way to get the pass made, just freak him out with your eyes in your helmet. Hey, any way to get the pass made, as we're on board with Tim Perry. Now, he's looking to make a pass on Kieran Smart. I'm not sure if he's going to employ the fear tactic that we're implying here on the broadcast, but he is catching up fairly slowly as he makes his way out of the S section and through the tight left-hander into the hairpin right-hander coming up right about now. Smart, obviously, the points leader. Behind by 1 point is Tim Perry, so looking for a good finish here, preferably above Kieran Smart. We're over halfway done with this race. Still no takers into the pit lane for green flag pit stops as Tim Perry looking to get around Kieran Smart. Headlight flash in full effect. Is he going to make the move down the inside? No, he won't. Stays right behind in P3 for LMP2M as they'll head back onto the main straight. Can he make a move through the final chicane? No, he won't. Can he make a move into the braking zone of turn number 1? Using that slipstream to his advantage in the LMP2. Trying to catch his way up to the rear wing of Kieran Smart. Not going to be close enough to make the move this time.
Yep, heating up now, and when the drivers start to make moves, you can tell that we're about to see the pit stops start to come. Because, yeah, the drivers start to try and just get ahead before the pit stop. It's always nice to get ahead just before the pit stop. But, yeah, I reckon we'll be seeing them come down into the pit lane within a couple laps from now. Yeah, nearing 35 minutes. So, there we go. Alexander Spets, he's got on the grass on pit entry. I think he just about caught the car, but he has got a 16-second gap to the driver behind. Let's see his pit entry. I told you it was a bit of a weird pit entry here. We're going to go underneath the oval and then through the first right-hander, try and pick your way through there, touching the grass and this odd chicane straight into the pit entry, and then cutting as much of the pit lane as you like once you're on the pit limiter. And Corbs doesn't pit, he goes back out. Salmon will do the same, so these two may be saving a bit more fuel than Spets, who has just finished his pit stop and will come out behind of Sam Blackwood.
So Alexander Spets, the first to come in for LMP1. He was the leader as well. He took a gamble there, being the first one to make his way into the pit lane for this green flag pit stop cycle. Who else is going to make their way into the pit lane this time by? Doesn't look like any other takers through the first parts of LMP2. We'll see in the midfields if we get anybody from LMP2 Pro or AM making their way into the pit lane. Doesn't look like anybody at the moment as we join back to the battle between Kieran Smart and Tim Perry, heading through turns 3 and 4. You can see Kieran Smart right now running a great line, staying in front of Tim Perry, just not letting him get close enough to make a move without Tim Perry having to really go full send up the inside, and he's protecting that line incredibly well to keep that lead. Oh, and off track goes Hans Blancourt. Looks to be after the turn 1 and 2 complex. Through turn 1 and just completely misses the corner.
Is he going to hit the wall? He is. Oh, he's hit the wall as well, and he's allowed Cabral to get past. That is not very good for him at all. Probably yet see him make his way down the pits and take the one and only fast repair I believe the drivers do get in the race, and he'll be wanting to take his pit stop pretty soon, I would imagine. But now heading through turns 3 and 4, Spets behind Blackwood. Blackwood could do his teammate and Corbs a favour here and try and hold him up a little bit before they make their way down into the pits. That could be a strategy that they might play between himself and Salmon. He'll obviously do his best to keep him behind. So we'll have to see what happens here as Spets is now right up to the back of him. Through here he's going to lose quite a bit of downforce you'd expect, and oh, he's using the boost, the block from Blackwood. He's going to have to make his way all the way down the inside. A little bit of a lock up there as well, and now Blackwood has to settle behind, but he's using the boost, pulls to the outside into the hairpin, trying to go all the way around the outside. The two make contact.
Contact between the two as they make their way through the hairpin.
He's using
Leader
all
now,
his
Jan
boost.
Corbs comes in.
Oh.
Spets pulls down to the inside. Blackwood now outside as they head into the right-hander. Back into the oval sections. The final 3 corners on the track. Will Blackwood pit this time? I'm expecting him to. Yes, he does. So Blackwood is going to pit from P4. He can only lose spots from there. Spets going to now go to 3rd to 2nd, back to the lead. Here's the move. And you can see Spets goes down to the inside to protect that spot. Blackwood not able to get around. He even goes through the grass too. He misjudged trying to do essentially what I believe it was Alex Salmon did, making his way through traffic, which is essentially take a wider line and cut inward at the apex to try and get a good boost out of the corner. Didn't work for him there. He touched the grass, and a penalty as well for Sam Blackwood being held in the pit lane.
He possibly got a slowdown from cutting the corner there. Before he made his way into the pits, and then of course if you have a slowdown whilst you enter the pit lane and hit the limiter, if the slowdown is still in effect, yeah, then you're ending up with a nasty penalty. Let's have a look again. That was such a late defensive move from Alex there. I don't like that from him. He left that really late. Could have ended pretty badly if he misjudged that slightly. He does cut the corner there, does Blackwood, and takes the chicane, maybe not realizing that he's going to get a penalty for it, and then makes his way into the limiter zone. It didn't look like he sped in, so I think it must have been a slowdown.
So now Blackwood is going to be in fourth, and I think the most detrimental thing is the gap. About 50 seconds, the gap between himself and Alex Salmon, as everybody in LMP1, except for Andrew Thompson, have made their way into the pit lane. Nobody in LMP2 has made a scheduled pit stop yet. Only 2 have been drivers who have spun out or had damage to their car. As you can see, the gap between Alex Salmon and Blackwood have grown tremendously. Now coming into the pit lane is your first of the LMP2s. Timo Hayden for Impulse Racing as we near about 20 minutes to go. Wes Van Dyke also comes in for LMP2 Pro. Julius Brown for LMP2 AM will stay out for the moment. Will anybody from LMP2 AM go the opposite strategy of Julius Brown? Yes, they will. Tim Perry is in. Kieran Smart now going to keep in second place, but overtake Hayden and Van Dyke as they're in the pit lane. Julien Boutset is coming in as well. One of 3 Frenchmen in the field. Ergis Jomontas is in. Jason Marichal and Jean-Francois Elagorche, the other Frenchmen, are all into the pit lane. Jules Palmister is in. Cesar Cabral is in. Will Roy Moss come in? We'll have to find out here soon, as this will be everybody in the LMP2 field except for 2. Julius Brown and Kieran Smart. The entire LMP2 field coming in on lap number 28.
And Sam Blackwood.
A second pit stop for Blackwood. Very strange on what's going on with that number 127.
Maybe a speed
another penalty?
Out of the pits, possibly. So we'll see now. He's going to pull up to his pit stop. Coming out of the pits, he might have got a speeding penalty. Hopefully we'll see on the replay now. He'll start going. We won't be able to see the speed on... Maybe we can get the speed graphic up from SDK Gaming. That might help. No, doesn't look like a speeding penalty, so I have no idea why he's come back into the pit lane. Maybe he forgot to fuel. Didn't fuel enough.
That could be possible. Not fueling it enough or completely forgetting to put the fuel in at all. But the final 2 cars for LMP2 are in. Julius Brown, Kieran Smart. Sport Sofort Racing for Julius Brown. Track Scotland for Kieran Smart. And right on by goes Timo Hayden, leader for LMP2 Pro. Out comes Julius Brown. Will he lose time to Wes Van Dyke? No, he won't, by a considerable margin. As you can see, the LMP1 going right on by down the main straight, and right on out goes Kieran Smart. Kieran Smart going to lose time to Wes Van Dyke, however. So Smart's going to be a good bit behind the current LMP2 AM leader, Julius Brown, about some odd 14 seconds. And he comes out side by side with Tim Perry working through turn 2.
And Perry will have the inside line now for turn 3. He's getting very close into the braking zone, trying to outbrake him into turns 3 and 4. Now the cones go flying, and Smart lets him by, trying to get a better exit, and it looks like he's done just that. Perry gets all sorts of loose over the grass. Now Smart's going to try to go to the outside, but just not close enough. He'll have to settle 4th, 3rd, but Perry's played that pit cycle to perfection.
It's not over, though. As you can see, Tim Perry almost in contact with Jan Korbs down on the inside. The LMP1 driver goes right on by. Still battling is Tim Perry and Kieran Smart. Where they sit right now, Tim Perry is looking to grab the points lead here in the Wave Italy Apex Racing League Prototype Championship. Can he do it and take that points lead away from Kieran Smart for the first time this season? 1 point separating these two heading into today. Down the straightaway, off of the hairpin, bobbing and weaving like he's at the Indy 500 is Tim Perry. Protects the inside, heading into the braking zone. Smart made a look down to the inside, couldn't get that apex rotation that he wanted. Into the final chicane. to the front straightaway. Nothing that Kieran Smart can do just yet. He needs to get closer to make the move. Just cannot catch the back bumper of Tim Perry.
So close, and 15 minutes left to go, so we'll have a little bit of time. Thompson now making his way into the pits. Is that also a second pit stop for Thompson? No, it's not. That's his first one, so he's managed to go an extremely long distance on that first tank of fuel. So yeah, Thompson doing a little bit of fuel saving there. He's gone quite a lot further than the rest of the LMP1 drivers went. Perry starting to gap Smart just a little bit. You can see he's a lot further ahead than he was last time by, catching an LMP or getting caught by an LMP1 to the same place as he did on the last lap, just touching the grass every exit it seems. Very risky stuff. Of course, if you touch the grass is even more slippery than this Japanese tarmac, so yeah, it's a good way of spinning around and facing the driver behind you for a brief moment before they pass you. So he's got to be a little bit careful, but as we reach 45 minutes, 15 minutes to go, and Perry looking to extend that advantage all the way up to a second now as he makes his way through into the final sector.
About 15 minutes to go here from Twin Ring Motegi. I'm glad you all could join us here on Apex Racing TV for round 6 of the championship. Alexander Spetz leads the way in LMP1. Jan Korbs in second. Alex Salmon in third. Sam Blackwood fourth, with Andrew Thompson rounding out the 5 cars that took the green flag here for LMP1. Timo Hayden leads the way in LMP2 Pro. A considerable margin over second place in the class division. Wes Van Dyke, Julien Boutet, and Irijas Jomantas rounding out your top 4. All 10 cars in LMP2 AM. Julius Brown leads the way over here with Tim Perry, Kieran Smart, Jason Marichal, and Just Baumeister rounding out your top 5. Jean-Francois Elagorche in 6th, Cesar Cabral, Roy Moss, Hans Blanquart, and Nathan Healy, unfortunately out of this race, scored in P10. That's your full field rundown here for the Wave Italy Apex Racing League Prototype Championship, and we're here for round 6 at Twin Ring Motegi. Make sure you join us on June 4th for round 7 from Road America, June 18th for round 8 from Watkins Glen, and June 25th for round 9 from the World Center of Racing, the Daytona International Speedway. 3 tracks in the United States of America. I'm going home finally in this series for the last 3 races of this season. I expect it to be very exciting as we came into this race with every championship separated by either 1 point or 3 points. So the championships are only going to start to heat up from here. Everybody staying close together when it comes to the points, and everybody now looking for as many points as they can get on the track with roughly about 13 minutes to go as we take a look at Roy Moss battling Hans Blanquart for P8 on the track.
Oh, and Andrew Thompson getting involved here as well. Onto the back straight. He will leave them in his dust as he makes good use of the boost, gets a little bit of a flash from behind. Spence is going to send it down the inside into the right-hander, gets a little bit on the grass on the exit, but absolutely no problems for him. And we're just over 10 minutes to go. Spetz is looking very well indeed to be taking the win at the end of this race. He's got 18-second gap to his teammate for our Lara Brutzi eSports, the 2 OCM racing cars of Alex Salmon and Sam Blackwood in 3rd and 4th, and Andrew Dobson in 5th. And Impulse Racing dominating LMP2 Pro, 1st and 2nd for them. And Devotion Sim Racing have got quite a good showing as well, 5th and 6th in P2 AM and 3rd in P2 Pro as well, as we have a little look at the teams that make up this ARL Prototypes Championship.
And some great teams at that. ARL, Bruzy eSports, Silver, OCM Racing, and Performance League eSports for LMP1. Impulse Racing and Devotion Sim Racing for LMP2 Pro, and a smattering of teams. Devotion Sim Racing also in LMP2 AM, along with Cookabort Motorsport, Track Scotland, Charity Racing Team, the Rookies, Sport Sofort Racing, and a couple of the drivers that come in and out of this series, also racing for multiple other teams as well. And it's great to see that team dynamic really coming into play. And if you look at the timing tower, you'll notice a bit of comparison and a bit of a trend in between where the teams are running and where the teammates are running. ARL, Bruzy eSports, Silver, OCM Racing, Impulse Racing, Devotion Sim Racing, and the Rookies all running right next to each other on the racetrack. So it's great to see all of these teams coming out here and racing in the Apex Racing League Prototype Championship. Alexander Spets leading the way in the 115 and still pulling away up at the front. Last time by, it was roughly about 0.4 of a second, the gap in between Alexander Spets and Jan Korbs in terms of lap time. In terms of on-track time, it's about 21 seconds in between the two. Andrew Thompson looks to might have had a little bit of an incident. He has 6 off tracks so far tonight. Down into the corner, a little bit too much, and off track he goes once again. He's able to save it from going around. But another almost turnaround for that number 123 for Performance League eSports.
Corpse being caught by a salmon, but nowhere near enough for him to have any sort of worry about it, because of course he's got what, a 9-second advantage at the moment. He's actually gained on salmon in the last couple of laps. Before that he was being caught, and yeah, you can just see on the graphic on the right hand side, gap has increased slightly. By around a second in the last 5 laps or so. But yeah, that gap around about 9-10 seconds, doing a pretty good job maintaining that, but 22 seconds behind his teammate of Spets, who's absolutely dominating in pretty much every single round that he hasn't made some kind of catastrophic mistake. Now, almost gets taken out by the 333. You got a little bit on the grass there on the exit, just about caught it in time. Corpse could have just had a little bit of a meet and greet with the car next to him.
Grabbing a look at Timo Hayden, current race leader for LMP2 Pro, also by a considerable margin, about 16 seconds. So we have about 8.5 minutes left here in tonight's race from Twin Ring Motegi. We'd like to once again thank all the sponsors that help us put on not only this broadcast, but every broadcast here on Apex Racing TV, starting with Virtual Racing School. Virtual Racing School offers to improve your on-track performance with 50+ data packs for both road and oval racing, along with setups, track guides, data analysis software, and one-on-one coaching. For more information and pricing options, head to www.virtualracingschool.com. Apex Racing Academy has 29 data packs to improve your performance in the sim, complete with setups, track guides, weekly group coaching sessions, and more. Apex Racing Academy is also integrated with the Virtual Racing School. For pricing options and more information on Apex Racing Academy, visit apexracingac.com. SDK Gaming is another proud sponsor of Apex Racing TV and allows you to stream to Twitch with the most complete overlay on iRacing. Add a virtual live HUD, timing towers, enhanced relative boxes, mini-maps, fuel calculators, and more. Adjust your team's strategy on the fly with our most accurate live timing in iRacing. SDK Gaming also works as a broadcast overlay. We're using it for all the broadcasts here on Apex Racing TV for all of your leagues and series, complete with synced cameras for production and commentary. For pricing options and more information, visit sdk-gaming.co.uk. And also the proud title sponsor of this series is Wave Italy. Wave Italy's mission is to offer the best experience in driving simulation to an even broader audience, with the aim of conveying the thrill of a real race to passionate and professionals of eSport and sim racing. We offer extremely performing and realistic devices, also suitable for corporate or private events. An unforgettable, immersive driving experience. Wave Italy are providing the overall winner of LMP1 the choice of their high-end Wave Impetus Imola or Wave Impetus Monza sim pedals in a color of their choice. Overall winner of LMP2 gets half a day of professional coaching at the Wave Italy Professional Training Center in Verona. To get 5% off any product at waveitaly.com, use code APEXRACING5 at checkout, and off track goes Roy Moss for the rookies.
And our producer Marco Barbanera has just jinxed this because he's just sent us a message saying that this battle is like all of those Kubica versus Russell duels that we've been seeing here near the back of the field. Oh, he's just lost it on turn-in, mid-corner. No contact at all. He's just lost the rear end. And then slightly overcorrected and just had to take a little bit of a short trip through the grass there. No damage to that car at all. But yeah, it's a little bit unfortunate for him. But he can blame the producer, Marco Barbanera. So Roy, if you watch this back after the race, you know who to blame.
Alexander Spetz still out in front and still pulling away from LMP1. And then you can see just every lap time is pulling away farther from Jan Korbs. And this is good for Alexander Spetz. And not only is he looking to go 3 in a row, 4 total wins on the season for this series, but he's also trying to catch up to the points lead. As out in front, it's still Jan Korbs, who has 4 top 2 finishes, 4 second place finishes, and 1 third place finish on the season. Incredibly consistent. All top 5s. Alex Salmon also all top 5s this season. 4 top 5s for Alexander Spetz. Finished in 7th place back at round 1 at the Nürburgring. Great runs from your top 3 in points. Just needing just a little bit more to get it done is Alexander Spetz as he looks for the points lead. This win only going to help him in the pursuit of the championship.
Yeah, he'll have a little bit of a points gain from this round, heading into the final 3 rounds in the States. Should give him a little bit of confidence as well on the back of a lot of wins in a row. 4 minutes left of the race, and Perry, he is 18 seconds behind Braun. You can see on the track map, it's an absolute mile behind the next driver in an MP2, and Braun has just done an absolutely fantastic job out in front of the green marked LMP2s, and yeah, he's well deserving of the lead that he's got. 3.5 minutes left to go. It's like Hayden and Braun have got no competition really out there in front of LMP2 as well. So the leads of the race look pretty set as we head into 3 minutes to go. What, 3 laps left of the race, with Spetz just starting a new one. Probably 3 laps to go in the race for these guys, and yeah, it looks like they're going to cruise to victory.
3 minutes now left, and taking a look at the lap times, probably about 3 to go. As off track goes Hans Blanquart, the other driver for the rookies.
Oh, and there is Maas, and oh, Devotion, Marical. So a lot of drivers going off at the same time there. But now Roy Maas is reunited with his teammate. Oh, and gets a little bit loose out of the exit of the hairpin. Unable to mount an attack on this time by, but these two can continue their battle for the last few minutes of the race, and it will be interesting to see how that goes as Blanquart gets a little bit on the grass as well there. Not what you want to be seeing. With a few minutes left of the race, the tyres are going to be pretty worn now as well, so combined with the Japanese tarmac, it's not going to give them too much grip to work with.
Down the main straight goes Hans Blanquart and Roy Maas down into turn number 1. Our producer Marco Barbanera calls it like the Robert Kubica versus George Russell duels. Will it be the same, and who will come out on top at the end of the race? Oh, a little bit sideways goes Roy Maas as he tries to get the power down. They'll make their way out of the oval sections now through turn 5. And Hans Blackwork putting up a good gap in between himself and Roy Moss. And Moss severely falling off the pace. This is not going to be good for his battle. It's about 9/10 now, the gap in between the two teammates. As they head through the middle sectors. And Alex Salmon's into the pit lane. Disaster for your third place runner. He's out of fuel.
He's probably underfueled. Is he going to be able to stay ahead of his teammate is the big question. There is his teammate, Sam Blackwood, who did take 2 stops.
Yeah, he's a lap down. So I think he might be able to, it depends on how long this pit stop is, and it's not long. So he will keep P3. He just needed a splash of fuel to get him through these last 2 laps. So Salmon will come out still in P3 on the racetrack, as Blackwood did not go all the way around to take his lap back, and he did not get passed by the leader on pit road to lose his lap either for Alex Salmon. The 2 Devotion Sim Racing drivers are right next to each other on the racetrack as well. You saw Alex Salmon go right on by him. Jason Marichal leading the way with Jean-Francois Elagorche behind, battling for P5. Or sorry, I got him reversed. Jean-Francois Elagorche in front there, as Alexander Spetz takes the white flag one final time around Twin Ring Motegi. And looking for 3 wins in a row is the number 115 RLR Bruce, the eSports silver driver, as he destroys the cones on the right-hand side of the track. Clearly not caring about the lives of those wonderful track cones. So he heads out of turn number 5 and under the bridge of the oval, working his way through LMP2 traffic. He's had a great season and a great run in the last 2 rounds at Silverstone and Spa-Francorchamps. So look for the points lead. And now, with this win that he is trying to grab, he is looking for another win. 3 wins in a row to be specific, to put himself at the top of the conversation when it comes to the championship of LMP1. Already celebrating as he comes down the back straightaway. He'll make his way through the final corners at Twin Ring Motegi, grabbing the win in Japan. 3 wins in a row for Alexander Spetz. He gets it done for LMP1.
Here comes Timo Hayden now as well through the final couple of corners now. No mistakes from him pretty much all day, and he will take another win in LMP2 Pro. And look, just a little bit further behind there is Julius Braun, and well, he's going to come across and also make it 3 in a row in LMP2 AM. What a dream start to his season. Absolutely brilliant stuff.
3 for 3. 3 starts, 3 wins for Julius Braun. He has had a fantastic season so far and is starting to knock on the door of the championship. As we grab a look at Jean-Francois Elagorche, he's going to get the best of his teammate, Jason Marichal, it looks like. They head through the hairpin. 3 corners to go. Only a mistake is really going to lead to Marichal being able to catch up to Elagorche. Mistake could happen here in the final couple of corners as everybody comes across the line to take the checkered flag. But across the line through the final couple of corners, it will not be enough for Marichal. Elagorche going to keep on to P5 in LMP2M. And the final cars to come across the line are Marichal and Cabral, and that'll be everybody across the line for round 6 of the championship here from Twin Ring Motegi. Grabbing a look at your full race results for the Wave Italy Apex Racing League Prototype Championship, round number 6 here in the evening of Japan. Alexander Spetz grabs the win for LMP1 with Jan Korbs, Alex Salmon, and Sam Blackwood and Andrew Thompson. Rounding out the 5 cars that took the green flag there for LMP1. The 4 cars that took the green flag for LMP2 Pro. Timo Hayden, didn't mention it for him, but he is also going back to back. And we actually have the same 3 class division winners that we had 1 week ago at Spa. Alexander Spets, Timo Hayden, and Julius Brown. Rounding out the field in LMP2 Pro, it's Wes Van Dyke, Julian Boutte, and Erajus Jomantas. And the field for LMP2 AM, Julius Brown grabs the win ahead of Tim Perry, Kieran Smart, Juice Balmeister, Jean-Francois Elagorche, your top 5, Jason Marichal, Cesar Cabral, Hans Blancourt, Roy Moss, and Nathan Healy. Rounds out the 19 cars that took the green flag here at the virtual Twin Ring Motegi. And time to get into post-race interviews. And it's the exact same 3 we had 1 week ago when we start with the LMP1 and overall winner, Alexander Spets. Alexander, welcome to the Apex Racing TV commentary box. First of all, how does it feel now? 3 in a row, 4 total wins on the season as you try and catch up to the championship leaders up in front.
It feels very amazing, to be honest. It feels really comfortable now. I'm really comfortable in the car and it feels really nice to race. And I'm hoping to get the next wins for the next rounds too.
And you are a considerable margin back from the championship right now, roughly about 60 some odd points. Now 3 wins in a row, and I believe another pole and fastest lap for you as well. Do you think you're on a good track to be in the talk for the championship when we go into round 9 at the Daytona International Speedway?
Yeah, Daytona is a good track for me. I really like racing at it. It's one of my best tracks. And I'm really fast at it. So yeah.
And heading into next week, we'll be heading into round number 7 from the virtual Road America. How confident are you at that track, and as well as how confident are you at Watkins Glen, because we're finishing out the last 3 races of the season in the United States?
I like all the tracks that remain, but I've never driven an LMP1 at Road America. It's the first time, so it's gonna be exciting to see how my pace is and if I can find comfortability.
Anybody else you would like to thank here on Apex Racing TV?
Yeah, once again, I would like to thank my sponsors, my family, and my team ARL for providing me with sets, and yeah.
Thank you very much for joining us here in the post-race show. Alexander Spets for RLR Abruzzi Esports Silver, your winner for LMP1 here at Twin Ring Motegi. Now standing by with Timo Hayden, it's my colleague Dane Baird.
Well, Timo, a second win in a row for you in LMP2 Pro must feel pretty good here at Motegi.
Yeah, of course. I'm happy about the second win in a row. We talked last week about it, that I could be the first one who wins 2 times in this championship in the LMP2 Pro. Yeah, I'm very happy about it, and yeah.
You also joined the rest of the winners in today's race, because all 3 of you, yourself, Alexander Spets, and Julius Braun, back to back. The other 2 3 times in a row. Do you think you could make that happen maybe in the next round, where we head to the States for the final 3 rounds, but the next round being at Road America? What are your thoughts? Do you think you can make it 3 in a row?
Hard to tell, to be honest. I don't know if Alexis will be back. Road America wasn't the best track for me all the time. For that I have to practice more than for Motegi, I guess. Last week I told you already that Motegi is, after Spa, one of my favorite tracks, so I don't know yet. I have to practice for it and looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Well, a second wins puts you in a pretty good spot heading into the final 3 rounds of the season. Heading into, of course, the final 3 rounds all in America. We've been in Europe for most of the season. Now the 1 round in Japan and 3 rounds in America. Watkins Glen and Daytona also on the rest of the calendar. What are your thoughts about those tracks as well?
Watkins Glen is in the week of the 6 hours of the Glen, I guess. So there's a lot of possibility there. Because you already do a lot of setup work for the special event from iRacing service. And Daytona is a lottery, I think. Because of the lot of slipstream you have, all things can happen there.
Absolutely, and you had a fairly quiet race, I think it's fair to say. You got a pretty good gap early on, and then just increasing that advantage all the time. through the pit stops, were you, or through any of the race, were you worried about the drivers behind catching you up at all?
It was very hard for me personally to find the perfect balance in this race. First, you don't have any reference this week for this race, and you can easily go over the limit on this track. You have to drive very smoothly here, so it was very hard.
The Japanese tarmac, pretty slippery up there. Luckily, it's a night race, so you had a little bit more grip than you might have had if it was an afternoon race. Well, Timo, congrats on the win.
Thanks.
We'll see you for the final 3 rounds. Hopefully, you can continue this good streak of performance you've been having lately into those few rounds and put on a good challenge for the championship. But yeah, congrats on the win. We will see you very soon. But before we let you go, is there anyone else you'd like to thank?
I liked last week my team, anyways, for this great work. They helped for my setup. Yeah, thanks to them.
Well, thank you very much, and we will see you very soon.
Oh, see you.
Good to hear from Timo there, and we've got time for a quick word with one more driver, and over to you.
And we'll grab Julius Brown. And Julius, 3 races, 3 times I'm talking to you in the post-race show, and your 3 starts in this series, now 3 wins. Safe to say, even with missing the first 2 rounds of the campaign, you're now in the conversation for a championship. How does it feel, 3 wins now, going into this series and immediately starting to be at the top?
Yeah, 3 wins in a row are pretty nice, I think. But I missed the first 3 rounds, not 2. I think I have a gap of about 90 points or so. So, yeah. But it's really nice, and again, I wasn't expecting to be that fast, so getting better and better, I think.
You will make up a good bit of points there, as you were second overall at LMP2 as well for that points standings. And heading into the final rounds of the championship, we'll talk about first the tracks as a whole. We go to Road America, then Watkins Glen, then the Daytona International Speedway. Do you think in those last 3 rounds that you can put together 3 more wins, or do you think it's going to be a combination of tracks that you might struggle at to begin with?
Yeah, Motegi wasn't a track I really driven before, so even if I don't know a track like Watkins Glen, I think I still can get a good pace there, and so I'm confident, but you never know what happens. So to say that I can win the last 3 rounds is a bit, yeah, I don't know.
And heading into Road America next week, do you think you can walk away with 4 in a row, or is it going to be another one of those unknowns that you're going to be coming in having to learn as you go throughout the hour?
I'm confident now, I think, especially now after this race, because this was probably my weakest track, I thought, but I've seen that I even if I'm not really a fan of this track and think I'm not that fast at this track, I still can get up pace. So I'm confident, yes.
Anybody else you would like to thank here on Apex Racing TV?
Yeah, again, all the guys from the team, and especially Sigi and Sebastian for painting all our cars. They are always looking really good. So.
Thank you very much for joining us during the post-race show. That was Julius Brown, your winner for LMP2 AM. And before we sign off here on Apex Racing TV, a lot of great upcoming events that you can catch right here on Apex Racing TV on YouTube and Twitch. course, tonight, the Radical Racing Challenge, round 11 at Suzuka, 9 p.m. UTC, 5 p.m. Eastern, immediately following the wrapping of this broadcast. You can catch that in just about 30 minutes time. Also coming up tomorrow night, the 2021 Sim Racers for Mental Health Indianapolis 500-mile race from the virtual Indianapolis Motor Speedway. That is coming up at 12:30 a.m. UTC on Saturday morning for all of you over in Europe. But if you're over here on the east coast of the USA, 8:30 p.m. Eastern time tonight on Apex Racing TV. Next Level Racing Sim Racers Asia iRacing GT3 Series, round 10 at Circuit of the Americas tomorrow afternoon, 1:15 p.m. UTC, 9:15 a.m. Eastern time, Apex Racing TV as well. SRF Weekend Warriors back for another round at Summit Point on May 29th, 7:55 p.m. UTC, 3:55 p.m. Eastern Time. Formula 3.5 Championship, you can also catch that tomorrow on Saturday, 9:45 p.m. UTC, 5:45 p.m. Eastern Time for round 11 from Spa-Francorchamps. Then we move over to Sunday, IGP Fun F3 VRS, round 11 at Road Atlanta, 8:25 p.m. UTC, 4:25 p.m. Eastern. Apex Racing League GT Trophy returns on Tuesday, June 1st, for round 2 of the new season at Road Atlanta, 7 p.m. UTC, 3 p.m. Eastern on Apex Racing TV. Ray Esports Racing League for round 7 at Lime Rock Park, Wednesday, June 2nd at 1 a.m. UTC, or Tuesday, June 1st at 9 p.m. Eastern Time if you're over here in the United States. Apex Racing Academy Porsche Cup Championship for round 16 at Montreal, Thursday, June 3rd at 7 p.m. UTC, 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Then, in exactly 1 week's time, catch the next round of the Wave Italy Apex Racing League Prototype Championship, round 7 from Road America at 7 p.m. UTC, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on Apex Racing TV. And then I gotta throw it in next Friday night. Join us for the MSRA National Series, the NASCAR Xfinity Series cars around the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Park. So Saturday, June 5th, 12:30 a.m. UTC or 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Friday, June 4th for that right here on Apex Racing TV. One more shout out to all of our sponsors that help support Apex Racing TV, Virtual Racing School, Apex Racing Academy, and SDK Gaming, and the title sponsor of this series, Wave Italy. Thank you for joining us from the virtual Twin Ring Motegi for round 6 of the Wave Italy Apex Racing League Prototype Championship. For Marco Barbadera and Dane Baird, I am Joshua Lee, and we will see you in 1 week for round 7 of the championship from the virtual Road America.